Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another just the one set of reading sprints. I know that in the thumbnail it says that I'm also going to give my reaction of the long list of the Women's Prize for Fiction, but I thought we would do that probably after the first sprint so that a few people who maybe are not in this time zone have a second to get here. I feel like if I would start with that, then maybe some people who were excited for that to give their opinions in the chat or whatever will miss it, and that would be a shame. So instead, I thought we could do a reading sprint, and I'll start with my long list for nonfiction. I somehow have the delusional idea that I can read both long lists while I also have other books in my TBR, and somehow 2 times 16 books doesn't feel like a lot, but it's a lot. Of course, I'm not reading everything from at least the non-fiction list. I'm reading almost everything from the fiction list, except for one, which I will get to. But I'm reading on my phone. I always forget titles. Wait, give me information about my book. What the Wild Sea Can Be, The Future of the World's Ocean by Helen Scales. I have to say, writing a book about the ocean and having Scales as your last name is next level. I will add. Oh, you used to be able to tell in your name what you were reading. That's such a shame. If you are reading anything, let me know what book you're reading, and if you are reading for the Women's Prize, let me know what you've read so far, what you're planning to read. What the Wild Sea can be. Let's see if this is working. Yes! Woo! Okay, that's nice. I feel like if you're hopping on later, then it's easier to know what I'm reading. Oh my gosh, wait, what happened? Okay, I did something like a really weird zoom in, and now I can only see my own mouth. I really, really hope that. What's happening? Oh my gosh, it's so weird. Oh, I'm back. Oh, I hope that it was only for me and not for you. Oh gosh, okay. Hello. I haven't got a live in a while. I love your bangs, so thank you. I'm really happy with them as well. I'll just be here for the rest of my lunch break, watching and knitting. Oh, then you're in the US, I guess, if it's lunchtime for you right now. What are you knitting though? I'd love to know. I have almost finished filming my first non-fiction vlog for the Women's Prize, and the last book I want to read for that is easy. No, you cannot. What the Wild Sea Can Be. It was a really slow start. I didn't necessarily love it. It was a lot of information being thrown at you, but now a little bit like halfway through the novel, I always say novel, halfway through the nonfiction book, it's starting to get a little bit more engaging. But it's engaging because it talks about subjects that I already know things about, like certain wildlife in the ocean that is threatened with extinction, overfishing, things like that. Like I know just things about that already, so it's only engaging because I can really easily understand it. And I'm hoping for some new information, which I've not gotten so far yet. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping for maybe some views on climate change that I didn't know about yet. But I feel like if you watch everything David Attenborough narrates, then you know almost everything in this book. Hi Evie, so glad you're back. I'll be continuing to write an essay on the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I feel like you always write the most fun things for university. First draft is done and I'm editing now. I love that you're picking Brandon Sanderson to write something about, like in an essay. That's so lovely and quite original, I feel like. I just started knitting in January. I'm making a Sophie shawl in a beautiful mossy green. I don't know what that is. Um, I'm assuming it's some fancy kind of shawl, but mossy green is a lovely, lovely color. As you can see, I'm also a lover of mossy green. um, I think we could start our first sprint, and then after the first sprint, we'll discuss the long list for the fiction prize. Let's see. Yes, here we go. All right, I will see you in 45 minutes. Did I just miss it? Or did it not go off? Uh, I don't know. Okay, that was very confusing. Yeah, but we're back, everyone. Apparently, I didn't notice that we were out of time. I don't know um, if I blocked anything. Let me know if you guys heard a noise. I hope that you all had a good reading session. I read a lot about otters, like the animals. Ooh, hard to pronounce. Sea otters, and they are adorable. But this book is very much about environmental change and about all the things that humans do to the sea. So it was like cute otters, um, the things humans have done to them over the centuries. So it was a bit tough to swallow. Oh, did it? The bell rang. Oh, okay. Not for me. Okay, so you must have been like, they know what you're doing. um, let's see. What is the topic aspect you're looking into? This is about the Brandon Sanderson essay, I think, right? Let us know, Evie. We are curious. I heard a bell, but it wasn't as loud as some of the others. I think that I may have not given permission for it to use my audio in some way. I will see if I can. I will put the alert sound on a higher volume, and then hopefully I'll see it next time. Um, I just started Anthem by Neil Stepson, March of the Mammoths. That means absolutely nothing to me. I have no idea what that means, but I hope that whatever it is you're reading, it sounds like a fantasy series, maybe. Um, but yes, hi, I'm glad you made it and that you're in Europe now. It's so funny that we're in the same time zone. Um, I hope you're liking Spain. I don't think it's very warm there yet. Right? It's still a bit chilly. I think my brother went to Spain a few weeks ago because he hates the winter so much, which is not a very nice thing to hate if you live in the Netherlands because it's quite cold here. Um, but he went to Spain and he was so happy for a few weeks, for 2 weeks, I believe. Speculative fiction, not my usual read. It's a read along. Oh, I love it. I love to read something outside of your comfort zone with a read along or a book club. It's for me, it's always such a motivation, and it's like the reason that I read fantasy at all, because I always felt like fantasy is not for me. Like I am a contemporary and classics girl, but not fantasy. But that's like so not true, because what's happened to my hair right here? I love fantasy now. I mean, it's definitely not my main genre by any means, but I do really enjoy it. The essay is about surveillance and control and how fantasy mirrors this in a real world. Ooh, ooh, that's a lot of oohs for me, but that's interesting, especially I feel like with the online climate now. Ooh, interesting. I was writing a letter to a possible pen pal on Slowly. What is Slowly? That sounds lovely. Is that like a way to connect with people to become pen pals? I love that. Um, are you writing it physically, the letter as well? I used to do that at the beginning of the pandemic with a few friends, and it was so much fun. Not necessarily like fun, but just very relaxing. And when their letters came, it made my day. It just made me so happy to sit down and read a letter that was handwritten. It felt so magical. He took the sun with him. Oh no. I mean, I hope it gets a little bit better. Yes, indeed. Please explain. Oh, here we go. It's a global app that connects people together. Virtual pen pals. Oh, it's virtual. That makes sense because, of course, because of privacy, of course. Um, yeah, that does make more sense. But still, I really like that. I'm writing it by hand and I'm writing it on the app. That's really nice. That's really nice. So you make the draft by hand. I mean, I'm gonna look that up. That sounds so lovely. or maybe I should just like write letters to my, like I call them my internet friends, because my booktube friends, and then I can send that to them. That'd be nice. Thank you for the inspiration. There's a stationery shop in Japan that sends you quarterly postcards so that you can receive the good old snail mail from an exotic place. That sounds really, really lovely. Ooh, I feel like this chat is going to make me spend money. um, Talking about spending money, let's talk about all the books I have bought because of the Women's Prize for Fiction. It's a lot, don't tell boy. Let's see. Share screen. Right. Yes, so this is the long list. I will talk to you what I know about the books, how I feel about them, and which ones I've ordered. Spoiler, it's nearly all of them. So, The Ministry of Time was actually already on my TBR, just more as a chill read, I guess. I think it is speculative. I think it's romance as well. I think it's very much genre fiction, which I really do like that the Women's Prize doesn't just put literary fiction on there. Um, yes, it's sci-fi as well. So it says in the near future, the satisfied civil servant is offered a lucrative job in a mysterious new government ministry, gathering experts from across history to test the limits of time travel. So I don't really watch Marvel anymore, but if you've seen Loki, that was something I really enjoyed, and the Ministry of Time really reminded me of the Disney Plus series Loki. So that's why I put it on my TBR, and I was surprised to see it on there. So clearly, I ordered a copy, but I think it was a pre-order that I placed for the paperback. So that will take a little while to get here. But before the price is announced, Somewhere Else by Jenny Deitch. I'm not really sure. I feel like this was one of those books that no one had heard about or anticipated. It is a Scottish novel. Um, so we have our main character who's 5 years old when her family are murdered. And she's forced to leave behind everything she knows, with only a suitcase of clothes and her father's violin. I always love a generational novel, womanhood especially. Um, so it's set during the World Wars and the interbellum, I guess. Uh, a lot of big events during the 20th century. I did order this one. I think, yes, I got a physical copy of this one because it's just historical, bit of a more unknown publishing house, and I was sold. um, all right, the next one is Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell, which I don't know, but it must be Irish, considering the name. And this is about domestic violence, and it's a debut novel. I wasn't sure about this because the Irish fiction on the Women's Prize in the last 2 or 3 years have really been hit or miss for me. So I decided that I would get the audiobook of this one, and not the physical copy. I think it's also historical, but that I'm not sure about. It doesn't say it's a circle, I think. So I guess it's just a contemporary. Let me know, how are you feeling about the Irish fiction that the Women's Prize promotes? Because somehow on here, because so many people actually love her most recent novel. Um, and it's literary fiction as well. But maybe they wanted to prioritize less famous authors. I don't know. Um, So that one I didn't buy. I did buy this one, Good Girl, and maybe I shouldn't have because when I read more about it, I wasn't sure it was for me, but I think it was a cover buy. It's set in Berlin's underground where techno rattles buildings. Um, Still scarred with the violence of the last century, 19-year-old Nila finds her tribe. This reminded me a little bit about a book, Firewash, that was on the shortlist 2 years ago, which is also very much about music and about dance, and very much about location as well. So yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of the Berlin underground, because even though that was not, I didn't go to Berlin when I was like in my early 20s, but I know that for my generation, a lot of people in the Netherlands, when in college, they went to Berlin to go to the clubs. Like, I think they were legal, like legal underground clubs there. And it was like a culture thing. So I guess I'm curious about that. But this could be a big miss for me. Oh, we have another Women's Prize reader. Hi, Svea. Um, just let me check real quick. Yes, right. So yes, I did get this one. Again, another one I wasn't sure about, but I did buy it. I think I also pre-ordered the paperback of this one. In a small seaside town, autumn is etching into winter. Gulls ride winds over the waves. Okay, I do love this. And two women pass each other on the promenade as yet unaware of each other's existence. I think this is a dual perspective. And I do like something weird like this. Like, she was a teen pop star in the 90s. So I think that's gonna have an interesting perspective on feminism and like about the Me Too stories as well. Yeah, again, I can go both ways with a dual perspective, especially because very often then the women turn out to both be quite unlikable. So I'm nervous about this one, but still, somehow I did buy it. Let's see. The easy choice for me is A Ministry of Time, because I think it's a book of the month book club too. Oh, that could be true. But they don't ship to Europe, so otherwise I might get them as well. Okay, this surprised me because this one was on my TBR as well, purely because of the won't do, because of the thing, and that matches with the Buzzwordathon. So I put this on here on my TBR, and then I felt like, oh, you know what? I'll just read Shakespeare, but then I should have kept this one on it. This seems like a small town British cozy novel. Maybe it's much more heartbreaking or literary than I think it is. But yeah, I bought this. Like, I didn't even need to think about it. It just sounded like a lovely break from the more tough subject matters. I think it says hopeful and healing novel. Like, I think so. About friendships, old loves, and a very human desire to leave a mark on the world. Oh, I thought it was British. It said in Maine. Never mind. Yeah, I don't want to read too much about this. I just want to dive into this. This will definitely be one of the first ones I read. Let's see, we haven't gotten to any books that I'm not going to read yet, or that I like didn't buy. Oh, this one I'm also going to audiobook, just because I had the audiobook for free and a subscription, so I thought might as well. All Fours by Miranda July. This is about, I think, a woman who leaves her son and her husband behind to go do something, and then she has this self-discovery. I think it's very plainly said, but to drive cross country from LA to New York. Um, wow, okay, yeah. Again, let's not read too much about this. I think it's a good book to be surprised about. Um, She wrote Olive Kitteridge. Yes, I think so. I think people said that she wrote something very famous, but I didn't know Elizabeth Strout yet. Okay, so Dreamgaunt, I am not going to read. I was disappointed that this was on here. Like, I am not one for boycotting books or banning books, whatever. That's not me. But I feel like, especially now, trans individuals need our support and not our indifference by putting it on a list like this, or even more than indifference. Yeah, I was very disappointed to see that on there, but I'm yeah, if you want to read that, I'm not judging you or anything. I'm just not going to spend my money or time on that. Right, next one. The Dream Hotel by Leila Lalami, which that name, such a beautiful name. um, the Dream Hotel, yes, I think this is dystopian or apocalyptic, something like that. It had a lot of not for me vibes when I heard people talk about it. It's a speculative mystery, which expect to live okay mystery. So I'm going to also listen to the audiobook of this one. I didn't feel like this would be the kind of book that I will buy. Would that be worth for me buying? But I know that the author is very beloved, so I do want to give it a go, but I am not going to buy it, I think. Um, oh. The only road trip author I recognize is Kerouac. I don't think I've read a whole lot of road trip books. I mean, I like road trip films, especially like art house road trip films, where it's just all about two people having a conversation. But I don't think I've read many books like that. Okay, this cover. Um, I'm saying how much I love the cover, but again, this was a free audiobook in a subscription for me, so I did decide not to buy it. But if I love it, I might, because look at it. Just look at all the vibes. I don't need an author name. I don't need a title. I don't need a genre. I'll read this book just because of the art on it, and not because it's pretty, but because it kind of reflects what you can expect, like historical and sassy, that's my favorite thing. Um, I don't actually know what it is about. I was just so excited for it. It looks complicated, so let's not, because that's going to take a really long time. Okay, The Safekeep, which is the only book I predicted in this list. Um, it's a Dutch book, but it's written in English. So part of me, I mean, I think it's clever of her that she wrote it in English, because otherwise it wouldn't have been on this list. It wouldn't have been on the Booker last year. She would not have had the readership that she does now. But part of me also feels like I think Dutch is her first language. Maybe not, but I think so. She has a Dutch last name. I feel like I would have loved to read the original Dutch, like the original in Dutch. There is a Dutch translation, but she didn't translate that herself. Someone else did. I mean, I feel a little bit conflicted about that, but also I completely understand wanting to write a novel in English, because your readership just grows so much bigger. It's for the same reason I have a channel and a shop and everything in English, because the Netherlands is a very tiny country. But yeah, I do want to read it. The description doesn't necessarily sound very engaging to me. I think it's set during or after the Second World War. Um, and it's apparently very cute. It has a lot of minor Dutch traditions in it, which I am looking forward to seeing. A lot of people love this book, and then a few people absolutely hate it. So I'm really curious what it is in this book that makes people hate it. Yeah, I did buy this one, of course, but also it was sold out. Almost all the editions were sold out, so I just pre-ordered, or as a bookseller, you can like place an order, and when they're back in stock, you will get them. So I hope I'll get it before the price is announced, but I'm sure I will. For readers of Patricia Highsmith, interesting. Oh, which one? I did not see that. Was that the last one? This one? Oh, it must be the speculative one, right? Okay, I completely missed that, but oh, we have more. Fundamentally, which I also bought. Again, kind of, I saw the cover. I thought like, oh, I'll like this. um, oh, so there's someone who is going to work at the UN in Iraq. Oh, yes, this was the line that a lot of people mentioned. Thus, with rehabilitating ISIS women, Nadia becomes mired in the opaque world of international aid, surrounded by bumbling colleagues. Sounds. Wait, I'm sorry. That sounds really, really interesting and very unique. I don't think I've read anything from that kind of perspective. Oh, the description of the safekeep. Really, the safekeep for Patricia Highsmith? Oh, that's a different novel than I thought it would be. Um, yeah, so I'm very excited about Fundamentally, which I also bought. I also bought Crooked Seeds by Karen Jennings. Yes, I bought a lot of books. Um, so this is from a South African author, and I think it's a mystery because her family, I think, is missing or gone from her home, and then she is taken as well, or she needs to find her own way. I think it is very plot driven, which I do love with the more literary fictions as well. I definitely want to read The Safekeep. Yes, also interested in Birding, The Dream Hotel, and A Little Trickery. Oh, did we get to that one yet? I don't know. A Little Trickery. I'm also really interested in The Artist, which should I have bought it? Maybe not, but I did buy it because I don't like books about art. I like art, but literature about art just never works for me. But it's a historical fiction, and any historical fiction on the women's prize list, I just kind of want. um, okay, so I think it's also a romance between Etty and Joseph, maybe. Oh, everyone has their secrets, and under the cover of darkness, Eddie has spent years cultivating hers. Over this sweltering summer, everyone's true colors will be revealed. And I really like the cover. So, yeah, I don't know. This one, again, the cover, just it's everything. I think it is set in Tudor England, but about the normal people, is how I have heard people describe it. And again, if it's a historical fiction on the women's rights list, I just love historical fiction, is a blazingly original, disarmingly funny, and deeply moving. Portraying a side of Tudor England rarely seen, is a tale of belief and superstition, kinship and courage, with a ragtag cast of characters and an unforgettable and distinctly unangelic heroine. Sounds absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. If I found this like in a booktube video or somewhere, I pick it up if it wasn't on the list. Um, ooh, that could be a favorite of mine. Okay, this is the last one, Emma or Amma, I think, and this is also historical fiction. So, of course, didn't even think about it. I also bought this one. Um, yeah, I think I just got a few. I think one book I'm not going to read, and three books I decided to listen on audio because I wasn't sure about them, and the rest I all bought. Ooh, like this first sentence, I decided to stop reading. uh, yeah, and also that it has multiple settings. So set in Sri Lanka, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, and London. Yeah, this should be really, really interesting. So overall, I'm actually quite excited for the list as a whole because I know so little of them. I think the Safekeep and what was it called? Elizabeth Stroud were the only books. Oh, and A Ministry of Time were the only books that were actually kind of on my TBR, and the rest was all quite surprising to me. Um, oh, oh, it's going great. Okay, so yes, that was my very chaotic reaction to the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. So I'm going to read 15 books, or I've put on my TBR 15 books. Whether I'm going to read them, who knows? But I do like that we have like almost the whole of March, April, May, and then the first 2 weeks of June. before the prize is announced. And I will say I have a few books on my shelves from the long list from last year that I haven't gotten to yet. But that's okay. Ama does sound very heavy, yeah. But I don't usually mind that too much. Um, yeah, I think I talked about it in my most recent wrap up where I feel like because I've read so many books, sometimes I feel desensitized towards so much heaviness in books. And I'm not yet sure if it's a good thing. Yeah, it seems there's a lot more variety this time. Yeah, I think you're right. I do, especially because of Dreamcount, miss some queer stories, but maybe that's just not necessarily in the description, and we will get more queer stories. But I think it's such an important part of womanhood, and the women's rights should be campaigning that, which is kind of what I'm expecting from them, especially in these political climates. We need to not be indifferent or silent about these topics. So yeah, I did have a bit of a moment about that, but I don't feel like punishing the other authors because of that, because I'm sure they have done an amazing job. Which at least I hope so, because I'm gonna spend a lot of time reading their books. Okay, I have talked your ear off. Um, well, you've read Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison. Um, Okay, let's do another sprint. Yes, I'm not sure if I will do two more sprints of 45, but we'll at least do one more sprint right now. I have to add to the screen again the timer. Oh, I think, yes, we have to do it again. All right, I will see you in another 45 minutes. That's okay because I saw it. I hope everyone had a good reading sprint. I almost finished my chapter for What the Wild Sea Can Be. It's very interesting, although this was about kelp and underwater forests, which I think is a very unique way of looking at it, but I guess that's what it's called. I am not massively interested in plants. I am very much about the animals, so it was not super interesting for me, but it did have some new information. It's it's a lot about humans being very dumb and what they have done in the past, and then about governments now being very capitalistic, also towards the sea, and not wanting to approve any regulations that will decrease profits, which is so sad. I do appreciate from the author that they don't just say that one government is doing this, but that it's like a global thing, a global effort. I mean, they try to preserve the sea, but when it gets in the way of profits, people are not happy. But yeah, I am enjoying that. I am 65% of the way through. I am guessing it's going to be a 3.5, maybe a 4 star, if it really surprises me and gives me a lot of new information in the next couple of chapters. But yeah, I think I will switch to a fiction. I think I will. I read a few chapters already of the Fur book of Kristin Lavransdatter, and I think I will continue that after I finish this read, and then I will get back into the nonfiction. Now, I'm so committed to the nonfiction now that I don't want to start the fiction list yet, but it's probably wise to read a little bit at the same time. Thank you so much for hosting. I'm off to dinner now, Spanish time. Oh, yes, they eat late. I'm also going to go because I just don't feel like reading anymore and I'm tired. So I'm gonna end this stream here. I'm sorry, I know we didn't sprint a lot, just the two sprints. But yeah, I hope I will see you next week. Probably also on Wednesday, unless something comes up. But I'm trying to do these every Wednesday. So I hope to see you next week and have a very, very nice day or evening. Bye!